Hello, thank you for tuning in to the Katie Sassine Show. As always, addressing the indoctrination of the nation, I'm your host, Katie Sassine. And continuing on the Jim Comey termination. Trump is the Terminator. If you don't straighten up, you're fired. As you know, we talked about this on Friday, on Monday, and now today. It's something that I don't take lightly. To me, this is a big deal. I know in the All-Star panel, we said, well, there's bigger issues to talk about. There's more important things we need to be discussing right now that have an impact on this country. But I see a theme in this situation that is a reoccurring theme in the media. And that's the media trying to separate the left and the right. Because the way I see it, we will always have the right and the left. We will always have opposing views. But what makes a country great is the compromise. And if you're constantly telling your people that someone on the right is against everyone on the left, or someone on the left is against everyone on the right, or even worse, that they're against the entire world, I mean, you're just inciting fear. You're fear-mongering. But yet the left says the right's fear-mongering. So I don't know how they come to that conclusion when they're literally doing that in the media every single day, saying that Trump is going to destroy America, making terrible predictions, acting like they know that this guy is going to be the demise of the country. A guy who ran on the slogan, a president that ran by the slogan, "Make America Great Again," a president that, you know, runs under the slogan, "America First." He supports nationalism, and he's being criticized by the left because of this nationalism and because he puts America first. They want him to put the world first, like President Obama. But as we could see, that didn't work out very well. And also, in addition, he wants to put freedom back in the people's hands. He wants to bring the country, give the country back to the people. This is not an overnight kind of thing. So the question about Comey, why didn't Trump fire Comey sooner? And why was Trump holding off on firing him? Well, he had a lot of things to get into place, and it wasn't his top priority to replace Comey. He had far too many other promises to the American people to seek. Now, I would like to point out the generals that supported this decision. Of course, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, and for the United States Department of Justice, and Jeff Sessions, the 84th Attorney General of the United States. Both men recommended that Trump should have fired Comey. Both very intelligent men. Jeff Sessions is an American politician and lawyer, in addition to Attorney General. Tucker Carlson had an excellent segment on Fox on Tuesday, a week ago from today, the day that Comey was terminated. And he said a very insightful phrase on James Comey, regarding James Comey. And what he said was, dictatorship by the unelected, by the appointed James Comey, I added that in, is the real threat to this country. So again, I'll just read it straight through. Dictatorship by the unelected is the real threat to this country. The people elected President Donald J. Trump fair and square, just like the people elected President Barack H. Obama fair and square. And you didn't see the media constantly attacking Barack Obama. You see them attacking him now and criticizing him now for establishing a shadow government and for endorsing his wife's organization, Organizing for Action, promoting a resistance against the current president of the United States after he vowed a peaceful transition of power at the U.S. presidential inauguration. Unbelievable. So I like this quote. I think it's genius. So he was appointed, and he tried to dictate. So why did he refer to him as practicing dictatorship? Why did Tucker Carlson refer to Comey as practicing dictatorship? Well, because he tried to determine, he tried to tell, I can't remember the name escapes me, he tried to tell at, the hearing, at Hillary Clinton's hearing, he tried to tell everyone there that there was no reasonable evidence to prosecute Hillary Clinton and that he would not recommend it. Carlson said that Comey was feared in a way that no appointed bureaucrat should ever be feared in this republic, in this society, the United States of America. You should not be scared into obeying someone who wasn't, first of all, anyone, but even more so someone that wasn't even elected by the people but appointed by an individual. So Carlson then went on to say that he is not defending Trump's decision. He is applauding it. He said, I'm not defending Trump's decision, I'm applauding it. So even better, this is something that people from the left and the right wanted done, and who got it done? President Donald J. Trump. Even when Comey offended President Barack Obama, he didn't fire Comey for whatever reason, but Trump did, because Trump utilizes hard power and not just soft power. He believes in taking action and not just talking about how it would be if he took action. So President Barack Obama, he loved to use what's called soft power. It's asserting power by diplomatic means versus hard power, which is asserting power by action, more so. And, specifically military power, but in these terms, we'll just think of it on that kind of scale. So let's check out a video of Tucker Carlson featuring some Comey moments.
This is a Fox News alert. FBI Director James Comey has been fired by the President of the United States. Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Comey's departure came unexpectedly, and for a moment you could almost hear official Washington pause, wondering which talking points to use. And then the barking began. Several Democratic senators have already and predictably called the firing Nixonian, as if you were watching something from during Watergate, but you are not. This firing was overdue, and everyone in Washington knows it. Comey recently went to Boston College and said this about his plans to run the FBI. Watch.
Boston College is a leader in thinking and educating on these incredibly important issues. So this is a great place to have it. Hope you'll do it many more times. You're stuck with me for about another 6.5 years, and so I'd love to be invited back again.
Not true, as it turned out. Comey repeatedly injected himself into political matters that the country's chief investigative figure should stay out of. In 2015, for example, he came out against police body cams right after President Obama endorsed them, effectively undermining the president. At the height of the last presidential campaign, of course, he held that famous press conference about the investigation of Hillary Clinton, even though he was simply announcing that the FBI lacked enough evidence to support a criminal case against her.
Although the Department of Justice makes final decisions on matters like this, we are expressing to Justice our view that no charges are appropriate in this case. I know there will be intense public debate in the wake of this recommendation, as there was throughout the investigation. What I can assure the American people is that this investigation was done honestly, competently, and independently.
This spring, Comey...
So, according to former director of the FBI, Jim Comey, there was no reasonable evidence to hold Hillary Clinton in a criminal case for lying to the American people about thousands of secretive emails written in codes. So that's very interesting. That's why he's no longer the director of the FBI. So, Nixonian, the media tried to call this Nixonian. Are they, they can't stop comparing Trump to Nixon. They think they're going to catch him in some huge scandal. It hasn't happened yet, and it may not ever happen. So if it doesn't, then don't cry about it, because I warned you. More like Clintonian than Nixonian, because Bill Clinton was the last and only president to terminate a director of the FBI. But of course they wouldn't want to compare Trump to Clinton because, well, Trump ran against his wife, former First Lady, and presidential candidate for the United States, Hillary Rodham Clinton. So they can't do that. They can't make a valid comparison because if they did, then they would make themselves look like hypocrites, which they can't do. So March 8th, he spoke at Boston College, Boston Conference on cybersecurity and said he would be back again. You know, the way he spoke, I haven't watched Jim Comey in a lot of speeches for hours like I've watched President Trump or President Barack Obama. But from what I saw just in that short clip, he seemed overconfident. I don't want to say cocky, but he seemed cocky. Whatever, we'll say it. And he said, "I've got 6 years left, so-and-so, you better get used to me." Well, doesn't look like it. He seemed to be pretty confident that he wasn't going anywhere. And maybe President Trump wanted him to feel like that so that Comey wouldn't try to deceive President Trump. And I would be curious to know why Trump fired him when he did. If there was any kind of personal reason, I don't think there was a political reason, but maybe a personal motive. Not family personal, but something that, Trump knew that Comey was trying to do that the American people would not ever be able to know about or find out about. So it is interesting. And I know that he had other things to get done. I know this wasn't the very first thing on his list, but it makes me wonder why that day. So, like I've said earlier, and like we all know, Comey was disliked comparably equally by rights and lefts, by conservatives and liberals. And one thing that he did to defy former President Barack Obama, sitting President Barack Obama, was that he came out against police body cams. In spite of President Barack Obama's legislation for them and support of them, he undermined the last president of the United States, and he tries to undermine this president of the United States. He seems like he is power hungry. He seems like a power hungry guy. He tried to defy President Obama, and then he tries to defy President Trump, two men on totally opposite sides of the political spectrum. So maybe he's got his own agenda, because he doesn't seem to be on the right agenda, and he doesn't seem to be on the left either. Critics comment on the timing of Comey's termination extensively. He was terminated 2 days before he was to speak in front of the Central Intelligence Committee, hence his trip out to Los Angeles, during which he was flown back and terminated. Trump is accused of firing Comey for his pursuing an investigation on Russia reportedly hacking the election, although there's still no evidence to prove that. Even though we had evidence to hold Hillary Clinton accountable and press criminal charges against Hillary Clinton, we didn't. But for some reason, the media still wants to hold President Trump accountable for something that there's absolutely no evidence of. Trump fired a man who was investigating him. As the President of the United States, you have someone under you. You have everyone under you, first of all, in the government, because you were voted in. You earned that seat. You weren't appointed. There was no possible nepotism involved. There was no hacking. Well, there's no evidence of hacking. So why would he not want to fire a man that's trying to undermine him? It's just a distraction from what he needs to get done as the commander-in-chief. So, continuing on what critics have to say about the timing of Comey's transition, when we get back from the break very shortly, and you won't believe this accusation they made against President Donald J. Trump. When we get back on the Katie Sassine Show, I'll let you know. Remember to follow me at KatieFYNTV on Facebook and Twitter.
Ace is your helpful place for paint and home goods, tools, outdoor living, and lawn equipment. But did you know Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge is a little bit more? We have hunting rifles and accessories for your next hunting trip. We have Amish furniture imported directly from Ohio. And we have Ace Custom Woodworks for all your custom wood project needs, from cabinets to artwork. Ace Hardware of Blue Ridge. We have your new house in stock.
El Rey and Elijah.
El Rey Mexican Restaurant.
Family owned and operated, and a local favorite for families, parties, and meetings.
Great prices.
Friendly service and delicious Mexican cuisine.
Patio dining available.
Come sing in Carlos's Cantina every Friday 9 to 1.
Eat in or take away.
Same location for 14 years. Open 7 days at the corner of Maddox Drive and 515. North Georgia's favorite Mexican cuisine. El Rey and Elijah.
North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds. Come on in to view the area's largest selection of fine jewelry at North Georgia Diamond. All repairs and designs are done on site by our jewelers. And North Georgia Diamond has the lowest prices on loose diamonds. You can also sell your gold, silver, and coins at North Georgia Diamond between Walmart and Lowe's in East Elijah. Locally owned by Bill and Allison Craig, North Georgia Diamond is your source for diamonds in North Georgia.
What you gonna do with all that junk?
Circuit World, brand name merchandise at unbelievably low prices. Furniture, appliances, and electronics. Circuit World is locally owned and operated, serving the tri-state area. Circuit World has highly trained professionals to help. Visit your hometown Circuit World today. 3 locations in Georgia: Elijah, Blue Ridge, and Blairsville, Franklin, and Murphy, North Carolina. No credit checks, so let Circuit World deliver to you today.
Hello, welcome back to the Katie Sassine Show, addressing the indoctrination of the nation. Yes, we are talking about Jim James Comey Jr., whatever you want to call him. I like the name Junior, personally. So, I'm kidding. That's not the most respectful way to address him, but you could call him Junior. He is a junior. So, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, if you all remember, he recused himself from investigations relating to the presidential campaign, as it was inappropriate to be a part of that investigation, and he played a central role in the firing of FBI Director James Comey. That was said by PBS. This left many wondering if he violated his pledge. Democratic Senator Al Franken of Minnesota called Sessions' involvement a complete betrayal of his commitment, and Senator Ron Wyden of Oregon called for his resignation. That's interesting. How is this a complete betrayal of his commitment? Who Jeff Sessions needs to remain loyal to is the President of the United States, the man that was voted in as Commander-in-Chief and Head of State, and that's President Donald J. Trump, along with Deputy Attorney General Jeff Sessions advised Donald Trump to make the smartest decision for the country, and that was to let go of a man that does not have loyalty to the President of the United States, who did not have loyalty to the last President of the United States either. I don't know what Jim Comey thinks it means to be a president, but he certainly should know. He's certainly intelligent enough to understand that the president is commander-in-chief and head of state, and that he should be respected as such. But he's disrespected overtly two presidents of opposite beliefs. How can they make this a partisan issue? These are partisan games here that the media is playing. So Trump fired a man who was investigating him. Big surprise. That's not a surprise at all. What would you do in that position? What would you do? Of course, he didn't want to fire him right off the bat. That would cause suspicion. Now I'm thinking, okay, that would cause suspicion. So Trump waited because really, Comey was just a fly on the wall. But after a few months, it probably, turned out to be something that Trump said to himself, well, I have to take care of this for the American people because I can't leave an FBI director in place that's trying to sabotage me as the people's commander-in-chief, that's going to try to divide the nation and divide the people of the United States. And not for partisan reasons, because we've seen him do it to former President Barack H. Obama, and now we're seeing him do it to President Donald J. Trump, and miraculously, the media is getting away with making this a partisan issue. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing what marketing can do. It really is. So the most surprising and ridiculous accusation against President Donald J. Trump upon this news is that people are saying that Trump's terminating this man, former director of the FBI, was a coup d'etat. Or you could just say coup, of course. What is a coup? This is how ridiculous this accusation was. Look up the word coup. It's a sudden, violent overthrow of the existing government by a small group. The chief prerequisite for a coup is control of all or part of the armed forces, the police, and other military elements. So the person and the people and the group of people that made those accusations against Trump, saying that this was a coup or actions that resembled a coup, don't know the definition of coup d'etat, a coup of the state. Trump is the president of the United States. Trump is the head of the government. How is Trump going to overthrow the existing government when he is the head of it? He has actually given more power to the military to do their own thing. So we know he's not dictating every little move the armed forces make. But he does advise them to do what's best for national security. Moving on, we're going to check out a video of Trump on firing Jim Comey and what he had to say. He makes it clear that there's no collusion between his campaign and the Russians. Let's check it out.
Look, he's a showboat. He's a grandstander. The FBI has been in turmoil. You know that. I know that. Everybody knows that. You take a look at the FBI a year ago. It was in virtual turmoil less than a year ago. It hasn't recovered from that.
Monday, you met with the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein.
Right.
Did you ask for a recommendation?
What I did is I was going to fire Comey. My decision. It was not...
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. There's no good time to do it, by the way.
Because in your letter you said I accepted their recommendation.
Yeah, well,
so you had already made the decision.
I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was really room.
He made a recommendation. He's highly respected, very good guy, very smart guy. The Democrats like him, the Republicans like him. He made a recommendation, but regardless of recommendation, I was going to fire Comey, knowing there was no good time to do it. And in fact, when I decided to just do it, I said to myself, I said, you know, this Russia thing with Trump and Russia is a made-up story. It's an excuse by the Democrats for having lost an election that they should have won. And the reason they should have won it is the Electoral College is almost impossible for a Republican to win. It's very hard. because you start off at such a disadvantage. So everybody was thinking they should have won the election. This was an excuse for having lost an election.
But are you angry with Mr. Comey because of his Russia investigation?
I just want somebody that's competent. I am a big fan of the FBI. I love the FBI.
But were you a fan of him taking up that investigation?
I think that about the Hillary Clinton investigation?
No, about the Russia investigation and possible links between...
Look, let me tell you. As far as I'm concerned, I want that thing to be absolutely done properly. When I did this now, I said, I probably, maybe will confuse people. Maybe I'll expand that, I'll lengthen the time because it should be over with. It should, in my opinion, should have been over with a long time ago.
Welcome back. As you can see, Trump was going to fire Comey regardless of the recommendations by Rosenstein and Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Trump said there's no collusion between his campaign and the Russians. The investigations have been going on for too long. The decision to have the investigations, the decision to cancel the investigations, the decision to start the investigations a few times over again. How exhausting. There's got to be better things to investigate in the FBI than flip-flopping back and forth to try to prosecute your commander-in-chief and essentially put the whole United States in disarray. Trump said that Comey is a showboat. And it's just like I was saying earlier, he has his own agenda. He didn't want to side with sitting President Barack H. Obama. He doesn't want to side with Donald J. Trump. He talked about himself boisterously at the Boston College Boston Conference on Cybersecurity that took place on March 8th. And he's on his own agenda. He wants to do his own thing. Maybe he'll run for president one day if he's able to at this point. And he said that he was going to fire Comey. Of course, he repeated it and said there's no good time to do it, by the way. He made it clear that no matter when he decided to fire Comey, to terminate him, it would have been hard. It would have been, the left would have said something. The left would have created propaganda no matter what. So he's just telling us, look, no matter when he had done this, no matter when he had decided to do it, the media would still be blasting the same news against him. And then we have Dick Durbin, an Illinois Democrat who says the White House duped Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein into writing fictitious research. How are we on time, Sam? Okay, into writing fictitious research, fictitious reasons, for the dismissal of Comey. And this says President Trump is dangerous and Trump's credibility is destroyed. Okay, let's check out the video. It's only about a minute long.
Your reaction to the following tweet from the President of the United States. James Comey better hope that there are no, quote, tapes of our conversations before he starts leaking to the press.
Well, of course, that, as you said, fits in the category of wiretaps by President Obama. It's just another one of his fantasies that he's putting out before the public. I think we ought to get to the bottom line here. President Trump is dangerous. Dangerous because he may be obstructing justice in terms of the investigation that really goes to the heart of our democracy, the accountability of the president and the people around him to the rule of law, protecting our democracy from an invasion, a cyber invasion by the Russians. And secondly, his credibility has been destroyed. When you're the leader of the free world, you need to be credible not only in your own country to be an effective president, but around the world. And this episode this week is a demonstration that this president's credibility is not very strong.
So, Senator Durbin, you expressed.
I like how the senator, who's never even, run for president, says that Trump's credibility has been destroyed just unilaterally, even though that's not true. He just unilaterally declares that Trump's credibility has been destroyed. Of course, I don't really like that. It's ridiculous. That was Dick Durbin, Illinois Democrat. He said the White House duped Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein into writing fictitious reason for the dismissal of Comey. He says that President Trump is dangerous and his credibility is destroyed. I can't agree with that whatsoever. What's dangerous is open borders and the Open Society Foundations, those things that are pushed forth in the liberal agenda by the left, and they're constantly trying to push us away from our culture as an American people, and constantly trying to tell us that we should be tolerant to the point where we allow intolerance to take over the United States of America. And that, my friends, is not going to happen as long as we're here to stop it. Anyway, stay tuned into the Katie Sassine Show. We'll be back with you tomorrow, only on fyntv.com. You can check out our archives on YouTube. Just look up Fetch Your News and please subscribe, and we'll update you with all of our videos. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter at Katy, K-A-T-Y, FYNTV. See you tomorrow.